Two teenage girls on e-bikes, laughing, the evening sun glowing on the streets of Cranford, New Jersey. Moments later, the sound of an engine shattered that peace, and in an instant, everything went dark. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed to Noir Crime 88. We upload new true crime documentaries every second day, each one revealing the stories that should never be forgotten. Cranford, New Jersey, wasn't the kind of place where tragedy felt possible. Tree-lined streets, white picket fences, kids riding bikes home before dinner. It was the kind of town where people waved to each other at red lights, where danger felt distant, something you saw on the news, not outside your door. 17-year-old Maria Niotis loved this place. She was bright, kind, protective of her friends, the type who would text to make sure you got home safely. She had dreams, maybe college, maybe cosmetology, maybe just figuring out life. Like any teenager, she was learning what freedom felt like. Her best friend, Isabella Salas, was her mirror image, sweet, artistic, always humming a song from choir practice. The two girls had a friendship that made sense to everyone who saw them together. Maria's fiery energy balanced Isabella's calm warmth. But beneath Maria's laughter, something darker had started to take hold. She'd begun to feel watched. A car outside her house. A message that came when it shouldn't have. A face that seemed to show up again and again. At first, she brushed it off, maybe coincidence. Maybe she was overthinking. But as the weeks went on, those coincidences became patterns, and those patterns became fear. She told her mother, full of Niotis. She told friends. She even reached out to school officials. Every time, the answer was some version of, "He's just a kid. Don't worry." Those words would echo in her mother's head for the rest of her life. Maria's family says the stalking started months before the crash. The boy, Vincent Battelloro, 17, from a nearby town, had been infatuated with Maria. At first, he seemed like any other teen with a crush. But soon, his messages became invasive, his appearances unpredictable. He started showing up near her home, sitting in his car outside for hours. He followed her on social media, commenting, reacting, and then turning up in real life. Friends said Maria was uncomfortable. She blocked him, ignored him, told people he was creeping her out. Her mother went to the authorities more than once. But because the suspect was a juvenile, police said there wasn't much they could do. A restraining order wouldn't apply to a minor in the same way. So Maria was told to stay cautious. But how do you stay cautious when you're just a teenager trying to live your life? How do you protect yourself when the people meant to protect you can't, or won't, act? Maria tried to move on. She worked, hung out with friends, rode her bike. But every so often, that same car appeared again, black Jeep Compass, tinted windows, idling a little too long. And every time she saw it, her heart raced. She would later tell her mother, "Mommy, why do they let him go? He's scaring me." Her mother had no answer. It was a Monday evening, around 5 p.m. The sun hung low, spilling gold across suburban streets. Maria and Isabella had spent the afternoon together, just two girls on their e-bikes, heading home. They took a route they'd taken dozens of times before. Down the block, a black Jeep Compass waited. Witnesses later said it appeared suddenly, speeding, too fast, way too fast for a residential zone. The girls didn't even have time to react. The Jeep surged forward, swerving directly into them. Tires screeched. Metal hit metal, and then silence. When neighbors ran out, what they saw was unbearable. Two e-bikes shattered, twisted in the street, and two young girls lying motionless. The car didn't stop. It kept going. Police later estimated the vehicle was traveling over 70 miles per hour, on a road where the limit was barely half that. Witnesses tried to chase, to capture the plate number. Some thought maybe it was a hit and run. But as investigators pieced it together, it became clear this was intentional. Maria was pronounced dead at the scene. Isabella was rushed to the hospital but later died from her injuries. Two best friends, gone. One community, shattered. At first, local authorities treated it as a reckless driving case. A teenager who made a horrible mistake. But Maria's mother refused to accept that. She told investigators her daughter had been stalked. She showed them screenshots, messages, statements. She begged them to look deeper. It didn't take long for detectives to see the pattern. The same name appeared again and again, Vincent Battaloro, the driver of the black Jeep Compass. He wasn't just some stranger speeding through town. He knew Maria. He'd been warned to stay away. And he'd ignored every warning. As the investigation deepened, more disturbing details emerged. Vincent had allegedly parked near Maria's home multiple times that summer. He had been seen circling the block when she walked her dog. He'd even been accused of swatting her house, calling in a fake emergency to have police show up at her door just weeks before the crash. And on the day of the tragedy, he'd been issued 15 traffic citations, for speeding, reckless driving, leaving the scene, driving without a license, and more. Maria's family's worst fears were confirmed. This wasn't random. It was targeted. As word spread, people began to question how this boy had slipped through every net. Then came another shock. Vincent Battaloro was related to Christopher Battaloro, the chief of police in nearby Westfield, New Jersey. It wasn't his father, but his uncle. And that connection changed how people viewed everything. Online forums, local parents, and even news anchors started asking. Did his family name protect him? Did that connection make authorities hesitant to act when Maria first reported him? The Westfield police chief released a statement saying he was devastated, but had no influence over the investigation. Still, public confidence was shaken. Maria's mother stood outside the courthouse, clutching a photo of her daughter, saying, "They let him go over and over again. My daughter is gone because no one listened." The Union County Prosecutor's Office charged Vincent Battaloro with 2 counts of first-degree murder and multiple related offenses. Because he was 17, his case began in juvenile court, but prosecutors quickly filed to have it moved to adult court, arguing that the brutality and premeditation demanded full accountability. Maria's mother agreed. She said, "If you're old enough to stalk, to kill, you're old enough to face justice like an adult." The defense, meanwhile, pushed back, claiming it was a tragic accident, reckless but not intentional. They painted Vincent as a troubled teen, overwhelmed and impulsive. But the evidence was heavy. The stalking, the warnings, the fake emergency call, the excessive speed. It told a story of obsession that escalated into violence. In packed courtrooms, Maria's family sat quietly, sometimes holding each other's hands, sometimes crying. They listened as prosecutors read out the words, "first-degree murder." And though the trial is still ongoing, one thing is certain, the town of Cranford will never forget those names, Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas. As details of the stalking emerged, outrage exploded across New Jersey. How could so many warnings have been ignored? How could a girl say she was being followed, send proof, and still be told nothing could be done because he's just a juvenile? Within days, petitions began circulating calling for Maria's Law, a bill that would allow restraining orders against minors in severe stalking cases. High school students organized vigils. Friends wrote Maria's name on their arms at school. Posters went up saying, "Believe them the first time." At one candlelight vigil, Isabella's brother said softly, "They just wanted to ride their bikes home." Maria's mother started speaking publicly, not just for her daughter but for every girl who'd ever been told her fear was overreacting. "My Maria asked for help," she said. "No one helped. Now I'm asking for justice." Months have passed, but the grief hasn't faded. Maria's room remains untouched, the posters, the makeup brushes, her graduation photo that never got taken. Her mother wakes up some mornings expecting to hear her voice again, then remembers the silence. But that silence has turned into action. Niotis now advocates for change in juvenile stalking laws. She's met with state legislators, prosecutors, and advocacy groups, demanding reforms so no other family endures this. They told me they couldn't do anything because he was a kid, she said. But my kid was the one who died. The story has resonated far beyond New Jersey, national outlets have covered it, podcasts have investigated it, and parents across the country have started talking to their kids about warning signs and digital safety. The tragedy of Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas isn't just about one reckless act, it's about every missed opportunity. Every week, someone replaces the wilted flowers. Sometimes, people who didn't even know them stop by, just to whisper a prayer. When someone says they're being watched, followed, harassed, believe them. Don't wait for proof. Don't wait for tragedy. Maria tried to warn everyone. She did everything she could. But the world didn't listen. Now, her story is more than tragedy, it's a message, carved in pain but meant to protect. If Maria's story moved you, please like this video, subscribe to Noir Crime 88, and turn on notifications. We upload new true crime stories every second day, uncovering the truth behind the cases that shake our world. Share this story to keep Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas's names alive, because silence protects no one. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next episode of Noir Crime 88.